Hey everybody, welcome back. We're doing a deep dive today
Yeah.
into the world of professional golf.
All right.
And specifically,
Okay.
we're going to be looking at the LIV Golf tournament that just wrapped up in Adelaide.
Sounds good.
So we've got some really interesting stuff to cover today.
Okay.
There was a pretty thrilling finish.
Right.
Some news about the future of LIV Golf.
Uh-huh.
And then some comments from Rory McIlroy that I think are going to spark a little bit of a debate.
Okay.
The main thing we're going to be looking at today is this golf article about Joaquin Niemann's win at the tournament.
Okay.
And for anybody out there who isn't totally up to speed on LIV Golf, we'll kind of get you caught up along the way.
Awesome.
But
that's good.
I think one of the things that's been so interesting to watch with LIV Golf is they're really making a statement. I think, they're attracting big crowds.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of energy.
Yeah, I think it's really cool to see Adelaide,
Yeah.
Packed house, huge turnout.
Yeah.
Really electrifying atmosphere there.
Yeah, and speaking of that excitement, Joaquin Niemann, who, won the Saudi International recently, he started the final round of the tournament 3 strokes behind the leader.
Okay.
And managed to just pull off this incredible comeback. He shot a 65 on the final round to secure the win.
Yeah. I mean, what a finish.
Yeah.
What a finish.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And I think it was a real masterclass in staying composed under pressure.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't you think?
Absolutely.
That's something that we can all learn from in like any field, right?
Oh, yeah.
Not just golf.
Totally. I mean, Niemann's performance was like the textbook definition of mental toughness, He stayed focused even though he was behind early on.
Right.
And he just seized those opportunities when they popped up. Totally.
I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
Like any high-pressure situation, whether it's a project with a tight deadline or a presentation, you got to give that ability to just stay calm and perform under pressure.
Right.
It can make or break you.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's huge.
And, it's interesting because in that same tournament, Abraham Answer, who had been leading most of it, he kind of struggled towards the end.
Yeah.
And it really highlights how important that mental game is.
Yeah, it does.
Still.
What's interesting is both Niemann and Answer have actually won the Australian Open.
All right. Before. We're both former champions.
Which is a really big deal.
Yeah.
Because that tournament has such a long and rich history. It's really a prestigious title.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the fact that you've got 2 LIV Golf players who have won it.
Right. Really says something about the level of talent on that tour.
For sure. Yeah. And speaking of talent, LIV CEO Scott O'Neill recently made this pretty bold claim.
Oh, really?
He said that
what would he say?
Outside of the majors, LIV Golf has the best players in the world.
Wow.
Which...
that's a big statement.
It is.
Yeah.
It's definitely a provocative statement, but I think it shows just how ambitious LIV Golf is,
Yeah, for sure.
They're not shy about challenging the established hierarchy.
Yeah. I mean, whether or not you agree with his assessment, you can't deny that they're making waves.
Yeah.
They're shaking things up.
Yeah, and they're putting their money where their mouth is.
Oh, yeah. How so?
They just extended their contract with Adelaide to secure tournaments there all the way through 2031.
Wow.
So they're committed.
So that's a pretty long-term commitment to the Australian market.
Yeah. And I think it's part of a broader strategy for global expansion.
Yeah. I mean, it makes you wonder what's going to happen if LIV and the PGA Tour ever decide to merge or collaborate.
Yeah. That's a great point.
You know what I mean?
It brings up a lot of questions.
It does.
And speaking of the PGA Tour, Rory McIlroy, who, has been a pretty vocal critic of LIV Golf in the past, made some comments recently that I think have kind of been misinterpreted.
Really?
A little bit.
Yeah, interesting.
And, it's important, I think, to understand the context of what he was saying.
Yeah, context is key, for sure.
Yeah.
So what was he saying?
He was basically acknowledging that LIV Golf coming onto the scene has benefited all professional golfers in a way. Like he was pointing out that prize money has gone up across the board as a direct result of LIV Golf's presence. And it has been.
It's been wild to watch all this unfold, hasn't it?
It's been so interesting to watch how it's all unfolded.
Yeah.
And I think
it's crazy.
Despite his criticisms in the past,
yeah,
it seems like McIlroy's actually advocating for a unified future.
Oh, that's interesting.
For the sport.
Really?
He's expressed this desire to see all the different groups in the golf world come together and work towards a common goal.
That's cool.
So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, definitely. For sure.
It really does feel like we're at like this turning point for professional golf.
Yeah.
It's exciting, but also kind of uncertain,
Totally.
And it definitely keeps things interesting.
It does. Yeah. It's been wild to watch,
Yeah. On one hand, you've got LIV Golf.
Right.
Backed by, all this money.
Fact.
Tons of money.
Shaking things up, pushing boundaries.
Yeah, and they're not afraid to experiment. They're signing top players, offering these huge contracts, hosting these events in new places like we saw in Adelaide.
Yeah.
And they're even experimenting with different tournament formats.
Right, like that team aspect.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely disruptive.
Yeah.
But that disruption's actually had some positive ripple effects too.
Right.
Yeah.
How so?
Well, like we've seen the PGA Tour respond by increasing their purses.
Right.
Trying to keep up.
Yeah.
And they're also exploring these innovative ways to engage fans more.
Right.
So, in the end, this competition can actually lead to some pretty positive changes for the sport.
Right. Maybe it's good for golf overall.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah. It's not all doom and gloom.
No, not at all.
It's been interesting to see how players are reacting to it too.
Totally. Some have embraced the LIV Golf model.
Right.
Others have stayed committed to the PGA Tour.
Yeah, you got different camps.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
It's really fascinating.
And you can't forget about the fans either.
Right. Yeah, the fans are a huge part of this.
Huge part of it.
Yeah.
And their preferences are going to play a big role in shaping the future of golf.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like some fans are really excited about LIV Golf.
Yeah.
They like the novelty of it. They like these big names that are coming over.
Right.
But then you have other fans who are like, nah,
right.
I'm sticking with the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tradition. It's legacy.
Yeah, it's what they're used to.
It's what they know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really a diverse landscape out there.
It is.
And that's part of what makes it so interesting.
Right.
It's not just a simple black and white situation.
It's really not.
There's so much nuance to it.
Yeah.
And that's what makes McIlroy's call for unity so fascinating.
Yeah.
He's talking about a future where all these different factions can find some common ground.
Right.
Maybe even work together.
Right.
To make the sport stronger.
Yeah. I mean, it's a
cool vision.
It is a cool vision. It's definitely a compelling vision.
It is.
But it's probably a lot harder to actually do than to just say it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
There's so much to navigate.
Oh, yeah.
Like the financial interests,
the
personal rivalry.
The logistics of it all.
Yeah, the logistics are huge.
Huge. Merging two different tours.
Yeah. How would you even begin to do that?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, one model that people have been talking about is like a global tour.
Okay.
Similar to like Formula One racing.
Okay.
Where you have events strategically located all around the world.
Okay.
To showcase the global appeal of golf and attract new audiences.
I mean, that would be
pretty cool.
Amazing. Yeah. That would be so cool to see like the top players from all the different tours competing against each other all the time.
Yeah. Imagine the rivalries, the storylines, the global fan base.
Yeah, it would bring so much energy to the sport, I think.
Yeah, it'd be huge.
But it'd be a huge shift.
It would.
Yeah.
It would be a massive shift.
And there would be a lot of hurdles, I think, to overcome.
Tons of hurdles.
Yeah, like you mentioned the financial interests, the logistical challenges. And then there's also the question of like, how do you preserve the traditions of the existing tours?
Right.
While also creating something totally new?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, it really is.
It's a complex puzzle with a lot of pieces.
It is.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the future of golf is really in the hands of the players, the organizations, and the fans.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
For sure.
Yeah. It feels like we're on the verge of like a whole new era. For golf, doesn't it?
It really does.
It's exciting, but it's also kind of scary.
Yeah. Definitely a lot of unknowns.
Yeah.
But that's what makes it interesting, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Keeps things interesting.
Yeah, and it kind of makes you wonder, like, if you were in charge of professional golf, how would you deal with all of this?
Yeah. What would you do?
Yeah.
You know?
Like, how do you...
If you were king or queen of golf, how would you...
Yeah, how would you balance the interests of the players, the fans, the sponsors?
Right, all these different stakeholders?
Yeah, it's a tough one.
It's a tough question.
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, would you prioritize tradition and legacy over, like, innovation and change?
Yeah, would you go for like a more global model, like that Formula One idea?
Right, or would you stick with a more regional approach?
Right.
What about the financial side of things? Like, how do you make sure everyone's getting a fair share?
Right.
You know, and ensure that the sport has a sustainable future?
Yeah, it's a lot to think about.
It is. Yeah. It's a good thought experiment, though.
It is. It's fascinating.
It is.
Yeah.
It makes you think.
Yeah, it really underscores just how complicated and how much things are changing in golf.
Oh, yeah, constantly evolving. Yeah. It's a dynamic world out there.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
And hopefully everybody out there listening has found it interesting.
I hope so. Yeah.
And it's given you some things to think about.
Definitely.
It's been a pleasure talking about all this with you.
Likewise. Always a pleasure.
Yeah. And who knows what's going to happen next in golf?
Oh, yeah. The future's wide open.
Yeah. But it'll definitely be interesting to watch it all unfold.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
And we'll catch you on the next one.